I'm very grateful that Dika took the initiative to write a book, not about therapy, but about a patient who's been in therapy. This is a very unique thing. Very rarely we hear from the patient. I've talked to Dika about how this would be wonderful with his skills as being very vocal and being a trainer to hook up with some psychotherapists at big conferences and actually give some trainings about here's your feedback, psychotherapist. This is what patients need. This is how patients heal. Because as a professional, we plant the seeds of healing, and in Dika's case, 6 sessions, he was gone. And then one day I get a phone call. Hey, guess what? Things are working out better. And I'm going, all right, that was the feedback that I needed. Not only to carry on as a psychotherapist, but to know that there was a man.
All right. Well, thank you all for spending your time with this gentleman. Yes. So I'm just going to introduce the author, whom you all know on some level. So I first met Oni in 2022. Thanks, Bumble. He wore, on our first date, when I met him, he wore a shirt and jewelry / wristbands to rep his Nigerian ancestry and heritage. So I was like, okay. I soon came to know he was talented in many ways, including being a musician. So he was playing the piano not just by reading music, but also by just hearing a song once and replaying it note for note. He mentioned he had written several books, but they were unpublished at the time. But he's now ready to share what he's written with the world. Oni's new book, which I'll let him introduce, is a mixture of personal and professional tips he gathered on his journey of mental health and reclaiming himself and peace of mind. So without further ado, let's give a round of applause to Oni, Dika, Chukwu, Mba.
Thank you. Sometimes I don't know I'm shy until I'm in front of people. Okay, let's see, what am I supposed to do? Overview of the book. Okay, let's see. So it's my first time, it's my first book.
Dika, you're moving your lips. Am I supposed to hear you?
So Dr. Suzy, who also forwarded the second edition of the book, is live, and she's gonna also answer some questions and say some things when it gets to that point. So I am gonna pick a very random part of the book and read. Not like I already didn't plan it. Okay. So in the abstract, it says, growing up in Nigeria in the early 80s and 90s, many of us were raised with a strong emphasis on religion, often neglecting our psychological and emotional well-being. Consequently, mental health remains a rather taboo and awkward topic for us to discuss. I was born on Wednesday, October 28, 1981 in Enugu, Nigeria, as the 5th child to clergy parents, but I was raised across different regions of Nigeria, which shaped me as a third culture individual. Being third culture means having been exposed to and influenced by multiple cultures, allowing me to integrate diverse perspectives and experiences. Well, let me just keep reading about myself. As a young adult, moving from city to city, I noticed a significant lack of mental health awareness throughout the country. Like many Nigerians, I was raised in a loving but sometimes dysfunctional family. My parents occasionally displayed emotional dysregulation, but becoming verbally aggressive when frustrated. My mom in particular was emotionally impulsive and quick to discipline us physically, while my dad had a more structured approach to corporal punishment. Despite our strong religious upbringing, we had no understanding of mental health. As a result, my siblings and I either emulated our parents' behaviors or were drawn to people with similar traits. normalizing these harmful patterns. Emotional dysregulation became the norm for me. Although I was not known for being emotionally impulsive, I accepted such behaviors because I was expected to be a man and tolerate it. Fast forward to Saturday, January 9, 2016. I was living in Abuja, Nigeria, when I connected with someone on Tinder, dating app. It's always dating apps. This connection would eventually change the trajectory of my life for the worse. For privacy, let's call this person Jane. If your name is Jane, forgive me. Our Tinder chat that night was filled with great vibes, and soon after, Jane sent me her WhatsApp contact details. We continued our conversation on WhatsApp, and everything seemed to flow smoothly, at least so I thought. For brevity, I will summarize my experience with Jane here, but I will document the full story in another book titled 3 Years a Slave. Jane had visited Nigeria for the Christmas holiday and returned to the United States shortly after. We reconnected for about a month, during which I endured her emotional outbursts, having normalized such behavior from key women in my formative years. However, my self-preservation instinct eventually kicked in, and I cut ties with Jane before the end of February 2016. By June 2016, she reconnected with me on Facebook, apologizing for her past behavior and suggesting that maybe God intended for us to be together. I naively fell for it. Despite many ups and downs and clear signs of abuse, I arrived in the United States on July 26, 2017 on a K-1 fiancé visa to be with Jane. To justify staying in the abusive relationship, I consoled myself with religious beliefs about love and perseverance, believing there was nothing wrong with suffering long in the name of love. On February 10, 2018, after months of periodic abuse, Jane escalated to physical violence. It was then that I started coming to my senses. I quickly removed myself from the situation and sought refuge in a secure space, reflecting on my life. I finally decided to contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Although the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services had provided information on the rights of immigrant victims of domestic violence when my K-1 visa was approved in Nigeria, I had only glanced through it and lacked the courage to act. However, after nearly 7 months, I finally reached out to National Domestic Violence Hotline, which was one of the best decisions I ever made. The agents provided crucial information on abuse and the power control wheel, setting my life on a new positive trajectory. There was no progress, it was positive. Despite this, the abuse continued and even worsened when Jane discovered my contact with National Domestic Violence Hotline in April 2018. I confided in my supervisor at work, who informed me about the company's employee assistance program. Through the EAP, I found a psychotherapist, Dr. Suzy Sartain, who transformed my life. On July 24, 2018, I had my first ever video psychoanalysis and psychotherapy session with Dr. S, which is what I like to call her, marking the beginning of a new chapter. Therapy with her paved the way for my journey to self-awareness, self-realization, personal responsibility, accountability, self-preservation, and overall improvement in my mental and emotional health, regardless of your gender or relationship type. The simple tips documented in this book are designed to help you achieve mental well-being and improve your emotional intelligence. I guess I'm supposed to take questions for this first section. Was I supposed to make this an anonymous question session?
I have a question.
Okay.
When did you start writing the book? Were you already writing during the relationship, or did the writing start after?
So I wasn't really writing during the relationship because. You mean the book, or just writing in general?
In general about the...
Oh, so the first time I ever wrote was 2002. 2001 or 2, I don't remember. In my second year in the university, I dated this girl for 5 years. And she had written her second MB, which is medical examination. And I just written my final year examination myself. And then she broke up with me. Then I sat down and wrote a poem. That was the first time I ever wrote a long poem. And when I gave it to my friends to read, they cried. But I didn't cry. When I wrote it, I was crying, of course. But so that was the first time I think I started writing as a person, like actively writing and documenting it.
I have a question.
Okay.
How long did it take you to get comfortable with telling your story?
I've always been a very vocal person, but telling my story is something entirely different because, and you mean the story about this, really? Mm-hmm. Because there was already a stigma. 6 foot tall, how can you say a girl is abusing you? What do you mean by that? Be a man. So, and I'm talking about close friends and family, I'm not talking about strangers. And when you also have members of your family who try to warn you not to do it, and you can't tell them, like my dad tried to warn me, I didn't listen. My mom was a bit in between because, so I have 5 siblings, all of them had different opinions. And but the first time I tried to talk about it was I visited the United States briefly for a month, October 2016, to help her move from Virginia to Houston. Mm-hmm. And my experience then was a bit, weird. So but by then she had already introduced me to her siblings back home in Nigeria. So when I went back to Nigeria, I was like, hey, this is what Jane did to me, what do you think about it? Because her sister was married. It was like, oh, that's not cool. Because like I said, I already had a very dysfunctional upbringing, so I couldn't tell whether it was normal to be in that kind of relationship. So that was the first time I really spoke about it to her sister and her sister's husband. And the guy told me, boy, run for your life, right? And the sister said something similar. But then they spoke to her. And then she said, don't you ever talk to my family again, in this voice. And now I don't know what it was, but because maybe that was a trigger for me, hearing that from maybe my parents, I kind of froze. So usually, if you yell at me now, I'll just walk away. But that made me stay. So, but that was the first time I spoke about it to anybody. But, I think saying I shouldn't be vocal about it and trying to make me feel guilty for opening up about things. How can you be talking about a relationship too? Don't talk to my family about it. I was like, okay, can I talk to my friends? If you talk to your friends, it's over. Okay, can I talk to? So I couldn't talk to anybody. I started keeping. So that was the first time I did, and I couldn't talk to any other person until when I was going to visit the US. I spoke to one of my friends who she had met because she visited for a week, and I said I'm not comfortable because we went to visit my friend and his wife as well, and he said, just go ahead. When my wife and I were dating, aunt said she's not ready for marriage. but I stuck my guns because I'm a man. Now I'm married. Now when you hear such things, but I spoke up about it twice. And after that, I think every single attempt to talk to people became stressful because every time I talked to people, they wanted me to start over to tell the story. And it was frustrating. And even when I met with the EAP and I started talking to different professionals on the phone, you had to repeat yourself every single time. But when I now started meeting Dr. Suzy, it was different because she documented everything. I didn't have to repeat myself. But the first time I ever spoke up about it was when I went back to Nigeria and I visited it for a month.
How do people talk about mental health in Nigeria, especially when you're growing up?
Yeah. So it's kind of similar to the culture here where people say, when you say you're going to, what's it called? Rehab. When you say you're going to rehab, they're like, ooh. So Nigerians will say, so if it's pidgin English, you're mental, something, you dey craze. This one head not correct. So it's more like, they go therapy. So once you mention mental, like even psycho it's not a positive term there. So, and I didn't even know anything about mental health until I got to the United States. I'm not making this up. And this is coming from somebody whose mother had a degree in psychology. So the only thing I learned from my mom was epoche your mind, but I never heard anything about mental health, thinking about it now. So it wasn't a discussion. I don't think it's a discussion that is very common in Nigeria. And the Nigerians back there are nodding, you can see.
I have a question. What did you expect to get out of your first session or your first few sessions with Dr. S? So you went in there and it's like, okay, I have a new therapist. What did you expect?
Oh, so all I know is I was lost and in a dark place. I didn't even know what, excuse my French, the hell I was doing. So on this particular day at work, it was like a bell curve. It's good, then it's very horrible, then it's, so my ex had made a trip, then we were still married. She traveled for a wedding, and I was at work doing my job at Home Depot as a merchandiser, and I was usually a very hard-working person. I was doing a project, and my supervisor called out to me, Miss Kim, Miss Shaw. She paged me, but I just got a text, and for the first time, it was different. Like, hey, I want you to move out of the house before I get back, blah, blah, blah. So I read the text, and I'm outside in the garden, and I break down crying. Now, I wasn't crying. I was crying like, what is wrong with you? You knew this was going to happen to you. Look at the mess you've put yourself in. Now, remember, I traveled miles, left my life, and moved here. So when she paged me, I wiped my eyes and then went to sit in front of her, and she was like, what's going on, Dika? I was like, nothing. She said, no, what's going on? So I broke down. And I think I've noticed that thing about me when people ask me how I'm doing, persistently, especially when I've been tough, I break down. And then she says, oh, where's she from? She's Nigerian, blah, 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 blah. And then she said, oh, you should do, I'm not going to say the other things she said, but she said some things. And she said, you should really reach out to the EAP. It will help. It's something you should do. So I'm also kind of thankful that I opened up.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thankful that she persisted, because if she had done what I was like, I'm all right, I wouldn't have got an EAP. So maybe you just have to persist a little bit more with that person. I'm just saying, because for me, I was tough, right? But I think the second and third time I broke down, and she was like, no, you need to reach out to these people. So by then, they tell it, because I had the insurance for session, but before they could schedule, before they could match me with Dr. Suzy, I kept talking to different, those, I don't know what they're called anymore, but I had to, on the phone, like every time on my way back, it's, I'm just, they're like, are you thinking of harming yourself? I'm like, no. Do you have any self-care thing to do? Yeah. What? Playing the piano. Can you play the piano? No. Why? Because I don't want to. Because although I love to play the piano, I'd heard repeatedly, how can you play the piano? You don't have ambitions. So yeah, so I didn't know what to expect. I just opened up, and then things turned out right. And thankfully I met with Dr. Suzy, because I think eventually when my session with her ended and I was moving from Houston to Seattle, I also asked one of the therapists, and we did not mesh at all. So.
Would you say in your experience that there's a relationship between religion and the normalization of abusive relationships, or justifications, or rationale for accepting problematic relationships through the suffering art, or any of those kind of religious?
Yes, absolutely, because I also put it down in the book. For me, I'm a Bible scholar. I've read the Bible like 4 times, and I knew things like love is patient, love is kind, love is not easily provoked. The fruit of the Spirit is long suffering.
Right.
So I love to suffer. I suffer. So yes, and again, when it's religion, now apart from the Bible, the religious aspect of it was the religious men and women in my formative years, the opinion makers had this be a man ideology. So a man was not supposed to be hurt. You're supposed to take it as a man. You're supposed to, are you not a man? How can you, are you not a man? Just be a man. So it also came from religious people. And then you hear things like the man is the priest, he should, cover your wife. Because we even met the pastor, the counselor. And he's talking to us the first time, and he asked a particular question, and I was being accused of, oh, he's not forgiving. He was like, okay, so let's just start all over, let's apologize. So I did, and he got her turn. These apologies that are like, I apologize for this, but, and then she starts preaching, and he's like, can I talk to your husband? Then took me aside, a pastor, and he says, your wife is a child. If anything goes wrong, she's going to blame you. If you do wrong, she'll blame you. But I want you to persist. So I was like, I'm tired. He says, God hates divorce. I said, but I'm tired. Then he goes, just wait till you get your papers. I'm like, I'm tired. And then he goes, just see her like a sister. So, yes, religion had a lot to do with that, because, again, growing up, my mom, like my parents are clergy, my mom is late, bless her soul. My mom would say things like, because my dad's side, they were already like divorced. And in Nigeria, people say things like, when you're Americanized, you are easily divorced. So my dad's side, they always traveled. So then my mom would refer to my uncles in a bad light, say things like, Uncle Yaka is divorced. So when she referred to my uncles and aunt, divorced. So even when my second sister, because I have 4 other siblings, sister, brother, myself, and a younger sister. So even when my second sister got divorced, my mom couldn't say anything anymore. So when I was in that bad place, I did not want to become the next divorced. So I would pray, hard. But thankfully, I think after I started therapy, one day I was just, self-reflecting, and I said to myself, there's a verse in Proverbs, and I said, where wisdom says, because I called out to you, you didn't listen, I will laugh at your calamity. So I'm like, I know you try to warn me. Please, just help me get out of this. So So I did different prayers, and then there's this thing as well when I would pray and I'll hear, God help me, and then you say, do this. When sometimes you think it's God speaking, right? But it's like a programming. Then I'll be the one doing something nice, So yes, my religious upbringing for me was one of the reasons I stayed long in that, which is perseverance. Although I escaped the first time, and then she came back and flashed the God card. God, I was doing a reflection. Maybe God, So now she mentioned God. I froze. So yeah, I think the religious aspect also had a lot to do with it. Nobody's keeping the time? Okay, I still have some more time before I can introduce Dr. Suzy. Yeah, so I introduced Dr. Suzy at 4:15. Okay. Any more questions? Gaitam, no question for me. Gaitam is Ethiopian. He's my friend. I've been with him for a long time. Gaitam, no question for me?
What is the name of the book is Therapy for, what's that?
Mgbánwè. Oh yeah, thank you. So thankfully, I like to, coast through life. I wrote this, and Dr. Suzy had warned me, but I didn't. I'm sometimes stubborn. Natasha also warned me. I didn't listen. They're like, check to see if there's a copyright. I was like, how can there be a copyright for dummies, So, and then I was overwhelmed. I just published. Boop. And then people were buying the books. Next thing, boop, middle of the night, Sunday, 10 something. Oh, we've gotten blah, blah, blah. You have violated trademark. I'm like, what? So I thought it was fake. So I Googled. And so it wasn't fake. I was like, whoa. By 4 a.m. in the morning, I got the second email. So the first one was from Amazon Japan. I was like, Japan? It's probably fake. The second one was from US. And then 2 hours after that, book was removed. I was like, oh, okay. So, but as soon as it happened, but before then, I already brainstormed a name with Tash. She was like, come up with a name, look for a Nigerian. So the book was just supposed to be Mgbánwè, right? I was like, So I spoke to a friend of mine who's also an author in Nigeria. I was like, no, don't use it, But as soon as this happened, I was like, I'm going to use. So we had to also, what do I use? I said, okay, therapy for Mgbánwè. So Mgbánwè in itself is Igbo for transformation.
Change.
Yeah, so it's like a process you transform. So I was like, maybe life had to happen again. And I didn't lose anything per se, so.
Have you gotten a good response from your family with you coming out and sharing this story? Or like even help some of your other family members or friends back at home start therapy?
So I became vocal about it after I wrote the book. Guess who reached out to me on Facebook in my inbox?
That young lady.
My brother.
Oh. I was about to say, was it happening?
My brother tells me, how do I get the book? The thing about my brother is he's older than me. He's exactly 18 months older than me. He's the first son, and I wouldn't say his upbringing was the best because he's the first. First son, not first child. And he got all the brunt, he got all the accusations, you stole, you did, so he just, and I found myself being defensive of him also growing up. Even when my mom passed, my siblings were expecting him to step up. I was like, we all had her as a mother. Oh, but he's the first son. I was like, what does that mean? So I found myself defending him so much that when I was dating Jane, that's not her real name, by the way. If your name is Jane here, I really don't care. When I was dating Jane, when she visited Nigeria for a week and left, and when you get on a call and talk to somebody and you're stressed out, and there was a time difference, so no excitement, but you're stressed. So one of those days, after a lot of back and forth, I sent a text to my family members. I don't know where it came from. I don't see any reason for life, blah, 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 blah. I don't know where that came from. My dad calls. I didn't pick, so they started texting. Is it because I didn't pay your master's school fee? I was like, no. My younger sister, Venus, are you still alive? Are you dead yet?
Wait, what did you say?
My younger sister was like, are you still alive? Are you dead
Oh,
yet?
okay.
So I ignored her. Then my brother says, what is wrong with you in the text? I look up to you. So, and for him to reach out to me to ask for a book is not like usual, right? Because mental health is not something people talk about. Mind you, I've told my sisters I published a book. No, they didn't care. On my dad's birthday, I was like, hey dad, I have a book. Didn't care. But my brother reaches out to me privately to ask for a copy of the book. And for me, it's big. It's a big deal. So they're not open. Even the few of them that have reached out to me, so at the point after I started therapy, after July 2019, I became very vocal, because that was when I got, Suzy was like, why don't you write a book? So because I couldn't write a book yet, I just started posting snippets on Facebook. I started doing 15-second videos on TikTok. And some people will reach out to me. My friends who are pastors will reach out to me who have issues with their relationship. I'll just give them tips. So they would rather do it secretly, but not like in the open. But I want to make sure that changes.
Yeah.
And I'm not crying, tears are flowing. You had a question too? You had a question? Oh. Okay, I think it's time to move on to. Oh, it's not yet time. Dr. Suzy, I still have some time. I think the time is 4:07. Okay. Should I read something else?
Yes.
Let me read from the second edition of the book. Let me read from the second edition. So if you already paid for the book, because I'm not supposed to charge you, I'm in here, or if you can see, you can also donate in front of you. But if you already paid, so there's an upgrade. I will just upgrade you automatically to the Google Drive version so that you can just have access to it. But let me read some part of the second edition. And thank you for coming, guys. I want to normalize talking about mental health. It's something people should talk about without feeling bad about it. And when I hum, I'm trying to pass time. So the introduction from the second edition. So it says introduction and rationale. The concept of Mgbánwè, meaning change or transformation, originates from the culture of both my parents, the Igbo culture of Nigeria. It reflects a worldview that views change not as an interruption, but as a crucial and constructive force in life. In Igbo philosophy, Mgbánwè emphasizes the importance of accepting and adapting to change as a fundamental aspect of both natural and spiritual life. This perspective is woven deeply into the fabric of Igbo traditions, manifested in various cultural expressions like folklore, music, and art. As an Igbo person, I resonate with the belief that change is an intrinsic, what's wrong with me, like Master Gowans? Intrinsic part of our human experience, shaping our identities and communities as we journey through life. One of the proverbs that resonates with me is, wepa kenwe n'ofe tupu ọhọ aka mmadụ, which translates to remove the hand of the monkey from the soup before it turns to the hand of a human. This saying beautifully encapsulates the importance of proactively managing change, reminding us that taking timely action can prevent small issues from escalating into larger problems. Whether in my personal life or within my community, I find this wisdom invaluable when navigating transitions. So basically what I was also trying to do was to also set the pace for understanding that transformation is something you have to really want to do, which would also involve seeing a therapist if you have to. Because I have this saying in my head, many the men, few they roam. Basically mean many are mad, few are roaming. And especially knowing the way we were all raised, sometimes you go, oh no, my parents did a good job. I turned out fine. Please, you're not fine. So like people usually think that they're fine, but people I personally think need to at least talk to a therapist. If not because of a dysfunctional upbringing, because you kept listening to that friend from your dysfunctional home. So it does something to you start viewing life in a very, which is why I also stayed in the relationships I stayed in, because although I didn't see my parents really, I just kept viewing people, it's normal for you to be a man, be a man. You know, because my mom never really told me be a man, but it's from people outside. You know, as a man, I jump your ass and so stupid. So, well, let me read. Any questions for that, if I have any questions?
Just one question.
Okay.
What has been the most surprising reaction to the book, in your opinion?
The book?
Something that just caught you off guard. Some reactions, some stories, something.
Like people's reactions to the book?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Something that you did not expect it to.
I mean, people showing up and signing up for the book for me is like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I'm signing the book. Oh, okay, maybe I should start traveling and signing books. So, but then it dawned on me that, whoa, you might just be the first African patient, well, survivor of domestic abuse who has been to therapy to write a book on therapy. I was like, oh, this is big. So, when I'll spend 2 nights stretch without sleeping trying to do the second edition, I'm like, maybe I'm just gonna be signing books everywhere, who knows? Yeah, so that's really, that's a very good reaction for me.
Sorry, following up on that question. In a society that's very closed, where you don't talk about things that are happening to you, has there been any backlash from maybe your family or close friends because you're talking about things that people typically don't talk about?
Is it with response to when you are being abused?
Yes, so not even the mental health, but even the story of the abuse.
Yeah.
Because typically you don't talk about these things.
Yes, you hear things like, don't bring your dirty linen outside. It's a family affair. You know, so there are things that enable toxic relationships. Don't be talking about your business. Like, come on, you're dying. Like, I was dying in silence. Then a few times, there was a time I actually spoke to a friend of mine who had moved to Canada on the phone. And that was after the pastor had said, treat her like a sister. And I was lamenting to him on the phone. And my ex just walked in and she heard the conversation. And then she goes, is that what you think about me? I said, is that not what I've been telling you? It's not like we just went to see a pastor. And again, I think that people who are not professionals should not do some things like the pastor told me, treat her like a child, but did not tell her anything. You get the point? So I felt that was a bit manipulative as well. You know, he wasn't very honest. He told me one thing and then told her something else. I didn't like that at all. And then, yeah, so I would say there are so many things that we do as a people that enables abuse, basically, because that's what it is. And from what I learned from talking to Dia Houston, National Domestic Violence Hotline, Dr. Suzy, different people, there's a power and control wheel. Once you have power and you can control, you are abusing whoever it is. Because I rather control myself than control somebody else. If it gets to that point, you are definitely abusing the person. So there are some things that we say as a society unconsciously that enables abuse. I remember when my ex's aunt said, but the Bible says Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. And this aunt just showed up one day after the whole thing had started. She had filed for the first divorce. And now when you hear filed for divorce, it's not because she hated the relationship, it's because I was in a bad situation. As an immigrant, part of the abuse that I learned from the documentation that the National Domestic Violence Hotline, U.S. Citizenship Immigration Services gave to me was, if you see these signs, reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. I saw the signs. But you are in Nigeria. Man, how can you be calling the police on your wife? You see what I mean? So I didn't. The first one, second, but the last when she now hit me, I was like, Now people say, how did she hit you? I was laying on the floor, like she was trying to trigger reactive abuse. But so I think from childhood I've always known to, hey, think about it before you do it. These guys are trying to trap you, or something. Right. So I didn't do anything. By the time I spoke to my co-workers at work, they were like, she was trying to get you to hit her so that she could call the cops on you. So things like that. But when you hear some of those sayings, be a man, we kind of promotes abuse subconsciously without knowing. So her aunt shows up and says, but Christ, the Bible says Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. I was like, yeah, I left my life in Nigeria and moved here. No, I've always been a sharp mouth, really. She's like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, Christ gave up his life. I gave up my life, I moved here. So, and then I remember for the first time I was bold to tell her, I said, the problem with, then I generalized. I said, the problem with Nigerian women is, I generalized that. She said, what? I said, you say things like, I'm a woman. You use excuse of I'm a woman to abuse a man verbally. And then she said, but we are women. I said, but even the Bible says, bridle your tongue. And she froze. Now, Nigerians are not used to you talking to them if you're younger. But my parents were already used to that. I was assertive from childhood. So, like one time my dad told me, because I gave him feedback from one prospective person. I went to her father. And he said, there's a way you say it looks like you're insulting people, because Nigerians are also not used to assertive communication style. You dare not tell any authority, like no. So some of those things also enable abuse in a way. But I don't know if I went off on a tangent, but basically the culture does not really encourage culture. When I say culture, us, the things we do sometimes does not encourage a healthy environment for people.
I have a question. Based on what you're saying, culture, I know our culture, Nigerian culture, from Nigeria, and including here, the majority of us find ourselves here in America or any part of the world. We know that the men, I don't know, how will you reach out to the men, especially the African men, Nigerian men? Because majority of them don't say what they're going through. It's only the women. I guess maybe the culture here permits that. When men go through that, like what you've been through, they don't say it out. They die in silence. So how will you reach out to these men and telling them, no, it's not okay to feel this way, you need to talk, you need to seek therapy, and the rest of it. Because we find that, women tend to seek therapy more than men.
Well, I would even say that I was basically yelling at my followers on TikTok the other day. I was like, what is wrong with you people? It's only women that are buying my book. I said, if you're a guy, I think you listen to my, and then, but then two guys reach out to me on Facebook asking for the book. One is a pastor, one is somebody who had also been through something, similar. So how do I reach out to them? I don't know. I will wing it as I go. I don't have any plan, but I know that sometimes after I went through what I went through, I became an advocate automatically. I became vocal on Facebook. People call me names, of course, but why are you washing your dirty linen outside? But then one of my friends who is a woman now told me about a guy who was going through something bad, I think either in Hungary or something. And she said, can you talk to this guy? I said, no, I don't want to talk to him if he doesn't want to open up. She said, just try. So she persisted. Then I spoke to him. When I spoke to him on the phone, he just reminded me of myself. And thinking about it now, it was my friends who are women who first told me that I was being abused. As soon as I moved I moved here, first thing was to, as if you're a child, no bread, no rice. Mind you, I had my money. It's not like I didn't have my money, but we're not going to eat bread in this house. So I now started sneaking out to my friend's house to go eat food. So, because then I just got here in Houston, because we're in Houston first. So I would drive her to work, then be helping. She had this store, be putting her things. So when I'm tired, I'll just drive to a friend's house. So I drove to a friend's house one day, and then she said, Tika, what the why you gonna mega abuse? It's like your wife is abusing you. I was like, what? I'm a man. How can I be abused? So I brushed it aside. First time, second time. Eventually, when I told her, why didn't you tell me? She was like, what do you mean? I told you. But when I told you and I saw that you were defensive, I stopped. Now, she also knew because she had also been abused by her own husband. So it looks like it's those of us who have experienced it, who are advocates, let's help you. And for me, I would say, don't give up on that person, even if it means, so I have a friend, 2021, after my mom passed, I told him to do therapy because I'm friends with him and his wife, and he's like, I don't need therapy. What's that therapy? One day I snapped. I was like, what's wrong with you? What do you mean by don't need therapy? Am I crazy to mean that I'm going for therapy? I basically yelled at him, and then he started therapy. And he's like, it's the best thing in my life. I'm like, yeah, right. So yeah, sometimes I wing it, I don't know. I know it's a stigma. It's not, you have to man up, be a man. Yes, sir.
Yes, I have a comment.
Okay.
Based on experience as a professional, as a leader in the community. As a professional, I'm retired after 25 years with Immigration Services. So based on that experience, the majority of the women who come here, I hope someone else can be a witness, the statistics will show that it's actually the men who come, most of them, and bring their women. That's the statistics that my professional experience showed me. Now, having said that, I use my military experience to show that I'm a veteran. In my service experience, the men have issues, but they will not come out and tell the leadership that I am having issues. And also, it's not to minimize what women in the military have been going through and still are. There are 2 adult men who are taking refuge at my place now for some years now. Got kicked out of the house by the women they brought here. Now, when others hear that story, it's like you don't, okay, our culture, Igbo, you don't lay your hands on a woman. If you're a man, you don't do that. And so with that culture we bring here, it just subdues or suppresses our emotional experiences. So we, per se, our experiences, our emotions, and so forth. So just a few comments I wanted to make based on what, having said, what you've said and the questions and answers that have come through. I like this. This is wonderful that you're doing this. So I commend you.
More in the community.
It takes a man to do what you're doing. And I'm also authoring a book that should be out by the end of the year. And it's on leadership, because that's where my PhD is, on leadership. So I hope I can also extend the invitation to our colleagues in the community I commend you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Why am I having a picture? That means a lot to me. If you're a man, speak up. Speak up, because, and if you're a woman, please, if a man speaks to you, don't twist it. Don't twist it. Just sometimes when a man says, we are not trained to say things, unfortunately, because it's a training. We're not trained to say when something really, so we keep it to ourselves. We go to drink with guys. We go to spa and punch the bags. When we should be talking to our partners first. There's something wrong with that, So I'm not just speaking to the men, I'm also speaking to the women. Please, if a man speaks to you and you don't know how to handle it, start therapy too. I'll just say. So let me introduce Dr. Suzy, because I think I've overshot by 12 minutes. So sorry, let me just do it real quick. To introduce Dr. Suzy, I'm going to read a note that I also added to the second edition, because the second edition is a proper book. It has preface, abstract, and everything, credits, copyright. This one doesn't. But if you already paid for this, you'll get that as an upgrade fee. And I'm going to say what happened when I read it to her. Dr. Suzy, am I allowed to do that? Our conversation on Monday, should I talk about it?
Just keep it in perspective, Dika.
Okay, good. I don't have it here. Let me read it from the book.
With great wisdom, I've been instructed to take photo to show people came.
Yes, please. Thank you.
So thank you.
We look at you or him?
Oh.
You first.
Right.
You first, young man.
We look at him.
You guys mind?
Yeah.
It's okay.
I don't want it anymore.
Huh? You don't want to?
You said that, man. I told I wasn't on it anymore, so go ahead.
I'll be right back.
Let's have a PDF version of the book, and it's hard to scroll all the way to the bottom. So what's happening here is I'm used to having a big screen, just do it, and this is small. I'm having to squint my eyes, that I think I have to go check up, but I'm pretending that I don't need checkup in my eyes.
It's that time.
Not yet.
You're getting to that age.
Yeah.
Not yet. Not yet.
You probably need bifocals.
Yeah.
I had bifocals at 10.
And this is very typical of the way that men handle their health problems.
Oh, Dr. Suzy is
And mental health is often handled that way.
True.
Not yet.
True. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Let me introduce Dr. Suzy real quickly. So Dr. Suzy is a licensed psychotherapist and a licensed professional counselor. And I started therapy with her June 24, 2018, and I had 6 sessions plus an extra one. So I basically graduated. I'm a graduate student. And then I put in the work. But then it took me until July 5th, 2019 to realize what she said to me the first session we had. I was like, oh my, I said, she's mean, she's wicked. So she says, in all the conversations, she goes, hurt people, hurt people. So it wasn't until July 9, 2019, after I'd gone to work and something happened in Nigeria. A pastor did something to a woman in the past, and then so I just posted a picture of my back with the thing and said, if you're a man, speak up. That's all I did. So it went from Facebook to Instagram. So I'm at work, and then my friends are paging me, have you gone on Instagram? I'm like, no, what's going on? So I went there, somebody who had pretended to be my friend. You know how if you've been with somebody, you know how they write. Mm-hmm. So I know a friend of ours, but she was using that account to, that's what I think, write. Because she was saying some things. But before I got there, those my friends who knew I was really being abused, those of them who were, the first one who told me to, hey, you're being abused. And then I also connected with some people online too when I started speaking up, who became like a support group for me. So they were already like, oh, really? Do you know them? Do you live with them? And that was the day I said, oh, these people are crazy. Like it dawned on me, I was like, they can't actually help it. And that was the day I actually started healing. Because I understood that she couldn't help it. It's a cycle. I got abused, so it's like it became a defense. So I was just a victim of somebody else's past. So that was when it dawned on me, and from then it was easy to forgive. I basically started healing. Before then, nope. I was like, she meant it, she's mean. I hope you guys kept some goat meat for me because I grilled it myself. Anyway, so that was thanks to Dr. Suzy after my sessions that. Because it takes time. They'll give you the tools, right? It took me a while. So I said, yeah, Dr. Suzy, yeah, Dr. S, I don't think I can truly put into words how grateful I am for the role you've played in my life. So I actually sent her a copy. I wrote it in the copy I sent her, and I had to put it in the second edition. My mental health journey would have never been successful without you. I still remember our first session on June 24, 2018, when I came to you struggling with my self-esteem and feeling lost. Like I said, I was in a dark place. You not only gave me the tools and guidance I desperately needed, but you also chose to stay connected after our sessions had ended, offering your unwavering support to keep me on track. I am incredibly thankful for everything you've done, but more than that, I am thankful for who you are. You didn't just give me the strategies, you gave me hope. And for that, there are no words that will ever be enough. There is no DCAS mental health journey without you, Dr. S. This book would not have come to life if not for your compassion, wisdom, and ears, and then care. But that's care. What's wrong with my eyes? I was like, ears and care. You saved my life, and I'll never forget that. I may not have the perfect way to show my gratitude, but I've decided that the best way to honor your impact is by continuing the conversation about mental health wherever I go. It's my small way of carrying on the legacy you've built, one of mental healing, empathy, and strength. Thank you from the depths of my heart for saving my life. With endless gratitude, Dika, your favorite Nigerian. And then something I also learned from her, which helped me with so I have a niece who's 22 now. When I call her and she's down, I act exactly like Dr. Suzy. So I have a nickname for her. Hey, Abruka, who is? So when I sense she's down, I start hailing her. Who is Abruka? Abruka means tough, strong. When I start saying that, she just, it's me, uncle, it's me, uncle, it's me, uncle. So I also learned that from Dr. Suzy. So I'm going to have to.
I just want to do a quick time check. You have 25 minutes. And then we'll probably want a group photo. So it's just want you to really have, it ends at 5.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, it ends at 5, yeah, but then we have to 5:30, right? Basically.
You gotta clean up the room.
That's fine. Thank you. So I'm gonna invite Dr. Suzy. So she's gonna share some insights on therapy, mental health, and personal growth. And for that, I'm gonna need a speaker so we can hear her loud and clear. Are you still there, Dr. Suzy?
I'm still here, Dika.
Okay, everybody, this is Dr. Suzy.
Well, Dika, thank you so much for inviting me to this wonderful book signing that you have. There's some ways that you stepped out and reached out to other people to let them know that you're struggling and you continue to struggle. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But now that you have the tools that you learned in therapy to deal with things, way after you remember what my name is, you'll be able to handle those things and you'll be able to handle them well. One of the most important parts about this book is maybe not what's written on the lines, but what's written in between the lines. And that's that if you're a man, listen up. It's okay to take care of yourself. And if mental health is part of what needs to be addressed, that's okay. You know, in our society, as in many societies, including the military, if we break our arm, we go directly to ER. If they want to take a picture of it, we let them. If the picture says the arm is fractured, then we let them cast it. We keep that cast on for a very long time. It hurts, it's horrible, but we know that sooner or later we're going to heal. They take the cast off, and by golly, we find out, whoops, we gotta go to physical therapy now. And it's more work on our part to make sure that that arm works. And it takes energy. Sometimes it takes a lot of money. But yet, when that arm heals, it will never be the same. What I mean by that is when it starts raining and we feel the rain in our bones, or arthritis sets in, we know that that was the arm that once got fractured. The same thing happens with our spirit. Dika talked a little bit about how religion affected him, but spirituality was never really discussed. And spirituality is a very huge part of therapy. Learning how to reach out, learning how to know when you're not feeling quite up to par, and just learning that being a man doesn't mean that you have to suffer. I'm very grateful that Dika took the initiative to write a book, not about therapy, but about a patient who's been in therapy. This is a very unique thing. Very rarely we hear from the patient. I've talked to Dika about how this would be wonderful with his skills as being very vocal and being a trainer to hook up with some psychotherapists at big conferences and actually give some trainings about, here's your feedback, psychotherapist. This is what patients need. This is how patients heal. Because as a professional, we plant the seeds of healing, and in Dika's case, 6 sessions, he was gone. And then one day I get a phone call. Hey, guess what? Things are working out better. And I'm going, all right, that was the feedback that I needed. Not only to carry on as a psychotherapist, but to know that there was a man that actually learned these, he also includes women. And confidentiality is of the utmost importance for those sessions. Why? Because he would feel safe. And the only way that I put his business on the streets is if he wrote a written consent for whatever happened in those 6 sessions. What I can't say is that if you go to a therapist and you don't like them, don't give up on therapy. Look for another therapist. There's a lot of us out there, and there's a therapist that will help you. And if you feel good about working with them, then you know that when you come to these tough parts and these tough questions, that they've been trained and they're skilled and they know how to pace you and drag out whatever it is that you help. All the kind words that you said. And hey, this was a great way to spend my Sunday evening.
I'm so sorry, guys. I didn't know I had a background there the entire time. I thought you could see you guys. Let me take it off. Dr. Suzy, so there's a whole lot of people here. Let me quickly take off the background. I didn't know that I forgot to actually remove that background so you can see the people who actually clapped for you. They are real people. Let's see, how do you do that?
Well, of course they're real people. I wouldn't expect you to have unreal people there buying your book. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah, that's true. If you have any questions, please ask her questions or forever remain silent. Let's see, let me have people on TikTok. Forgive me, guys. I'm going to see if there's any comment there. So here are the people. You see them?
Yes, I see them. Hi. I hope that each and every one of you will lay that book down somewhere at work, put your name on the top of it, and say, check this out. Because that is the way that we keep the movement of mental health moving forward, by simple ways of reaching out and, say, and if they want to see the book for any longer than the afternoon you want to keep it there, they can buy it.
There's a question from somebody.
Hi.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Dr. Suzy.
Dr. Suzy.
Yeah, my name is Florence. I'm from Cameroon. My question is, as a mother, men are usually very close. They don't like to open up to family members. They don't want to open up to friends. As a mother, how can you discern ocular proofs on your own son that is married, that is going through domestic violence?
Well, mothers are always the last to know. And anything that's adverse, most men and women keep from their parents.
Yeah.
So, as a mother, you can see that your child is quite on the mark of how they usually act. So you can suggest to them, child is quite on the mark of how they usually act. So you can suggest to them, hey, you can go talk to somebody if you can't talk to me. And here's a few numbers. Here's a hotline number. Here's the number, that our insurance covers. So, as a mother, I think most people want to talk to mamas after they're healed. So, just provide resources, or maybe you can leave a book where they can see it, or on the refrigerator, or something of that nature. But thinking you're going to talk to your kid and they're going to talk to you, I don't think usually happens.
Especially if we're men, we'll never tell you.
That's true.
You can journal. You can give your time.
Dr. Suzy.
Any other question? Goitom, no question?
So that's true, thank you.
Any other question? Goitom, no question?
Yeah. Actually, my English is very bad.
Come on, guys, I'm not bad.
So,
bad English.
my question is like, for example, like me, I feel like I'm a kind of good person for my families, for my kids, for my wife, for the people around me, but sometimes when a kind of conflict happens, people used to say like, okay, you need to see a therapist, or that kind of. For people, or for a person like me, or a person who has that kind of things, or just generally, how do we identify ourselves if we need a therapist or not? What are the symptoms to say like, oh, I need to see a therapist? What are the symptoms that we have to evaluate ourselves?
It's very simple, sir. If you're asking that question, then you need to see one. Many people try to make therapy complicated. It's not complicated. It's not supposed to hurt you. It's supposed to help you. But sometimes as we go through the process, there are some painful times.
Yeah.
Now, Dika shared with you earlier that he cried, and I didn't see any of that. We talked. So, but the hurt was there. So if you're asking in your head, should I go see a therapist? You can contact your employer. They usually have employee assistance programs, 2, 4, 6 sessions free of charge, or check your mental health insurance and see what that will pay for you. And there's always a local county MH mental health that you can go to. You may have to wait a little while to get an appointment, but you can go there if you need to.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, I'm not getting any food. I'm getting the rough end of the deal. Anybody else have any questions for me?
Come on, somebody should ask a question so I can have something to eat. Okay, no further questions?
Thank you for having me, Dika. I'm gonna sign off now.
Thank you, Dr. Suzy.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Sonia.
I got you, doctor. Okay, she's off.
Okay. Okay, I will donate. Sure. With the phone. Just give me the, I'll take this. I'll donate.
So and then when you do let me know, I can also upgrade the second edition because of the first time.
Okay.
What am I supposed to write on these things?
And then I can write the first name and then write something.
I have different colors. Which one do you want?
Black. Can you pass me the scan so I can just scan for now? Right here.
Oh, yeah. Hi, everybody. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. Okay. All right. Yeah, thank you.
to Licia, so L, my name is Licia. It's L. Oh, you usually do it here. It's okay. So, and it's L-E-C. Okay. Oh, yeah.
I already saw it, yeah.
Okay. And then write whatever you want to write.
Thank you for coming.
They're taking a picture of you.
What's the date?
On the 13th.
Good.
Oh, then you write your name.
Are you reusing these?
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Who next? So, like I said to her, when you let me know so I can upgrade you too, because I can upgrade it. Okay. So that's gonna be
Our next.
Nancy. So what do I write?
Thanks for.
Which color do you want?
Huh? Red, please. Well, you know what you can write? Mental health matters.
Oh, nice. Just write mental health matters.
And then your name. Thank you. And let's see what our donation is. Thank you so much for telling your story. It's awesome. Story of victory. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Hey, brother, I just want to say again, I am super proud of you.
Thank you.
He's proud.
Wow, he's proud of me. Good. Nice. Thank you.
I want you to sign mine actually on this part.
What color do you want? Blue, red,
It don't matter.
green?
It don't matter. Whatever you got in front of you.
Are you a green belt or brown belt or white belt?
I don't remember. I was green when I left.
Which means you drop back to orange, right? Oh.
Hey, you spell my name right.
What kind of fake inks are these? You know, when you type a lot, your handwriting becomes cramped.
Oh, yeah.
That's not my problem. That's why I have trouble like that. This is good.
Yeah, this one was there.
Thank you, boss. Objective, bro. And we should also normalize saying I love you amongst guys. Because it's not. So, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Well,
Hey, you can get them. You can donate, you can you can.
So we don't need.
Yeah. Okay, so. What do you want me to write here, Bob? Okay.
Or whatever.
No, tell me what you want me to write.
It's from your heart, not my heart.
I don't have a heart.
Come on, play my piano.
Okay.
Again.
to Gramps.
Yeah, Gramps and Gramps.
And Granny. Bob and Robin is the white, right?
No, I am.
Again, if you don't see what I wrote, forgive me.
I'll send you translate later.
Oh, talk to you later. You want Dika or my full name?
Either one. I'm just gonna highlight Dika because I don't know yet.
Are you guys leaving now? I can see you later, right?
What's that?
Are you leaving now? I can see you later, right? Okay, thank you. Oh.
See you on with
Yeah. Why are you leaving? Hold on, jeez, come on. What do you want, the green or pink or red? I have different colors, sir. This one or this one?
That one.
This one? I hate this one, it does very well. It messes up my handwriting. Further away. Do you want it here?
There is fine.
Who do I address it to, sir?
Z.
Z-I-K.
Z-K.
Okay, Zeke.
R-J-I. Yes.
Okay. This one I can clear it.
I just? No, not too much. This messes up my handwriting,
It's the spirit of it, so.
No, there are others. Well, I told her that was in there. Christmas no, throw it out. I'll give you my money. Remember when for your party?
I forgot to write the dates for them and all those other ones.
And then Malachi has some of the city.
At 10:30.
Can I write the date for you? Yeah.
Yeah, but he's like, so, I told her all the good. Thank you. But I don't know.
Great Tom! Yes, happy to see you. How's Marin? She's here now? The last one? Does he want goat meat? Can give him some goat meat. Which one do you want? Oh, like this, it's messing up my handwriting.
Anything, that's okay.
So I can use this light one?
Yeah, that's okay.
Does this? I'll just do this. Goitom!
Myself, himself, and another friend of ours. Yeah.
Tom.
Epic.
Okay.
Take it.
For the meat.
Yeah. Yes, if you need help, I we have Christmas parties coming up.
No, it's different. But I mentioned one. Thank you. You're leaving? Grab something to eat. I have goat meat. That I made that goat meat. People like it. Bonjour. Ça va? C'était bien? Et à cause de votre chemin des fils, non?
Oui, c'est bon.
Votre fils, non?
Non,
Le grand. Vous pouvez... Comment dire?
L'éviter. Je veux lui faire ça.
Oui, okay. Or you can say, hey, how are you? Just say, let's go. Anything that men like, let's go and drink. Something like that.
Yeah,
And then sometimes when men feel...
Sometimes he carries me in the car.
Yeah, so you can use that. Oh, this is where it's... So this is where I put what I was going to read for her. And then no, I have another one.
Okay.
So what do I do? It's just donation.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Nyambi. Nyambi.
Oh, I didn't ask you color.
Yeah.
N?
N-Y-A-M-B-I. Yeah, Nyambi. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
She is, and she is. Both of us begin together. It's a wonderful Oh, that's actually wants to recruit me. Oh, yeah. Okay.
She said, make sure to get these bookmarks out, they're free. Yeah.
Bookmark? That's free. This is free. You can grab one. So do you want for your son?
For my Please, yes.
Is that his name?
Yeah, that's my son.
Oh, okay. So let me change the word then. Let me add some more.
Okay.
Thank you for joining in this video. Hello.
Wow. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup.
Amazing. I wish my husband was there to hear him say he was in a similar circumstance.
That's on here then, with the book.
It's never too late. Really.
The relationship is over. Child 6. Yeah, absolutely. It's what I get in the book. But I don't have cash on me. Natasha said you have.
Oh yeah, I'm just, it's cash out there, whatever.
Yeah.
Just say, yeah.
When you told me that,
So, I did it, we're not selling, but just donate. Blue, pink, green, red.
You blue? No. Yeah, blue.
Crazy.
My brother and my nephew.
Oh, nice. So what do I write?
And his name is Brandon.
Two. Whitney?
What's your Zelle number? If I scan that, it goes to this page. It only goes to Cash App or a card.
Anyway, don't worry. The next one, we're going together. You come over and then write. As always. Because I believe it's pretty good. So my place on the scene, and then she and I could like come here together. Because they wrote down here. Loading up, sure.
Is it WhatsApp? Yes. Oh, it's my Nigerian number. I'll send you my Nigerian number.
Still works.
So we add you the Nigerian calendar. So the other one is wrong. My US number. I'm on WhatsApp.
Campaign. Okay, send it to me so that we want it.
Thank you so much.
This is free. You can grab one. I don't know which one you want.
I'll take this one. Thank you. Congratulations.
Hey there, I already prepaid for a book. But
Julie!
I just need it signed.
Julie!
You can just sign it because I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna gift it to someone. So.
Read it and then give it to my brother.
So what do you want to write?
Just write your name and whatever your, get therapy or whatever your
You
slogan
want
is.
green, blue, red?
Let's do the blue. Let's do the blue.
Here or here?
Here.
Whose name do you have, right?
Write your name. No, just because I'm gonna read it and then I'm gonna give it to someone. So just.
So just my name?
Yeah, just your name.
Do I sign?
Yeah, that's good. That's your name.
Date?
Oh yeah, no, don't put the date. Okay, now you hold it, we hold it. Okay, come on. Okay, well then we'll just do it. Okay. No more. Okay.
Just so you're not putting it too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Congratulations.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's true. Which color do you want? Blue, pink, red, green?
This is
Anyone.
the first one.
Doesn't matter.
I think the second one is
Pink.
he's gonna get the access to the Google Doc, so like the PDF version.
Here or here?
I see what you're saying. So you want to lock that down in 1 week.
I need to get all the processes I need to do.
Oh, can you imagine? It has.
So it's like I'm trying my best not to, because if I give them I want to be like thank
What do I write?
My last name, right?
No, just take that. What do we write?
So if I this is no lie. This is my
I'm so proud of you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
We will spread the news.
Thank you.
So proud of you.
So what's the next itinerary?
Let's take a photo, and then those that want you to sign, they can sign, but after the photo, people can take something to eat and leave if they need to.
I thought they were supposed to eat as soon as they came in.
But people all sat down, because they became a little bit.
But can I still finish what I'm already eating?
Well, let's take the photo first. Let's take a photo. Photo.